listening to the Believe in Monsters podcast on the Believe Podcast Network. Here are your hosts, Chris Krogman, Joe Gaither, and Luke Barry. Discussing all topics Chicago Bears. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show.
And welcome in to Believe in Monsters. I am one of your co-hosts tonight, Chris Krogman. Don't have Joe Gaither to do the regular intro, so we're going to fumble through it. Little football terminology for you to start it off. Little dad joke. Haha. Anyway, so Luke and I here tonight to discuss the Bears topics of the week, particularly the schedule release. But before we get into all of that, Mr. Lucas Barry, how are you this evening, sir?
Chris, I'm doing well. Thank you for joining me. Schedule release is the latest and greatest in the NFL world. And I'm doing well. How are you?
Awesome. Doing pretty solid. Had a nice Mother's Day weekend last weekend. It was the first with my mother living in Denver now. Just moved her up from Arizona. So that was nice to have mom in the house. Did you get to hang out with your mother on Mother's Day?
I did not. I went home the week before, though, so that was our little trip home. I'm 6 hours away now, so unfortunately I did not get to see my mother's on Mother's Day, but we did do a little something the week before, so all was good on that front.
Good stuff, man. Other than that, we know we said we'd talk about NFC North Draft grades and whatnot this week, but considering the schedule came out and there's lots to talk about around that, including way too early predictions, just looking at the schedule for funsies, more or less, get you all set for travel days if you want to go to Soldier or go to a visiting team stadium and watch your Chicago Bears. There's a lot of fun cities to go to this year. I've been to a lot of these places, and it's a good travel year. So hope you enjoy the show. Lucas, anything else we want to get into other than the schedule release? Did the Bears finally sign a defensive end, or are we still kind of just hanging out? Is there any validity to the Chase Young trade block rumors? Will Yannick Ngakoue ever be a Chicago Bear?
Yeah, it's good questions. I don't know. I don't have the answer to any of them. I'm still holding out my hope for Chase Young. I feel like they're probably not actively shopping him, but I don't like I saw a report that said they're not actively shopping him, but like you think about it, do teams ever actively shop these guys? Like normally you just get an offer you really are inclined to go with, and if you have a feeling you aren't going to re-sign the guy, then you take it. But,
yeah, I mean, if you're Washington, you have Montez Sweat coming up for contract.
You just paid Payne.
You just paid Payne, and you paid the other defensive tackle the year before, right? He was signed as a free agent from somewhere, right? Jonathan Allen, wasn't he?
He was their own.
He was their own? Anyway, you paid him.
Contact. Yeah.
So I guess it comes down to if you want to pay Sweat or you want to pay Young. Young's coming off an injury. I don't know. I mean, I understand where people are chomping at the bit because they see the writing on the wall in Washington with not being able to re-sign both. I mean, one or the other's probably not going to get re-signed. I mean, I guess Washington could pay both. They just sold the team, right, recently.
Mm-hmm.
So new owner could, make a splash and make everybody happy and just sign everybody. But obviously, there's a cap here in the NFL. If you're the Commanders, Lucas, what direct would you sign Sweat? Would you sign Young? Where would you go? Would you try to deal Young? And why now? Like, why would you trade him now instead of like at the trade deadline, or I don't know, see where negotiations go?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, a trade deadline trade probably makes more sense, Chris, because you want to see. I mean, it's risky. So I guess the pros of trading him now are you don't think he will recover and be back to his normal self. So you're banking on him being at his highest value now.
Mm-hmm.
The cons are if you trade him and he's healthy and goes back to being the first overall pick that we all think he is. I mean, he was one of the best college football players I remember, to be honest with you, specifically defensive end. I mean, you could get absolutely screwed on a deal trading him away this early. But I don't know. It's kind of a crazy situation. I don't know. But if the Bears got a fourth for Robert Quinn before the trade deadline, I'm sure Washington could get something decent for Chase Young, even if he's not great.
Yeah. So if you're the Bears, well, so I think the rumor you were talking about going back to Washington was they're not actively shopping him, but if somebody put together, I can't put the word, maybe it might have been comprehensive package for Chase Young, they would listen. So I guess all things considered, with the information we know, coming off an injury, but being uber talented, former defensive rookie of the year, correct? I think. Anyway,
I'm not sure. You might be right.
What do you think is fair compensation on from both sides? Like, if you're Washington, I'm not accepting anything lower than XYZ for Chase Young, and if you're the Bears, I'm not giving any more than XYZ for Chase Young.
It's tough. I would say probably a second and another pick, a 2 and a 3, or a 2 and a 4, or something like that. I mean, NFL trades are so weird, but we just saw Chase Claypool go for a second, so I'm thinking Chase Young could also go for a second. I mean, Bears fans are going to try and tell you that Washington's going to accept a 6th-round conditional pick and be happy with it, but that's not the reality of the situation.
No,
I would probably say 2-day 2 picks.
So you end up, like, if you're Washington, you take a 6th for him. Like, you could probably get a better comp pick for him, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think 2-day 2 picks.
Somebody's going to sign him to a pretty lucrative deal, assuming Washington doesn't in the offseason. So if you're Washington, just sit on him, or wait until the trade deadline and trade him. So I never thought there was any legs to Chase Young, and honestly, man, I don't know how comfortable I would be taking him on with the injury and everything like that. I mean, it's a scary proposition, trading for a guy that coming off an injury, even though he is super talented. I kind of see the, desire to not give any more than a 6th rounder or a 5th round, even a 4th rounder, whatever, because you could be just, lighting that pick on fire. I mean, maybe give him the Eagles. I mean, this is why Poles did what he did, right? Because he's going to have more chips to push in if he wants to.
That's the thing. I mean, really, you're right. I don't see it's very risky to do right now, and it's something Poles has shown us he's not really going to do. Take that big of a risk on a guy. The flip side of that is if he feels like the NFC North is as weak as we all do, and he thinks the Bears could win it, maybe he just drops his nuts on the table and says, "Here it is. This is a deal you can't refuse, and we're going to go after it." But that is the only situation I could see Washington trading him now, is if something like that happened where the Bears said, "Screw it, we're just doing it." But truthfully, I don't know. And then there's also the Justin Fields factor. I know that was his boy from Ohio State, so I don't know if he doesn't have any leverage. And
that worked out really well for JSN. Let me tell you,
telling him about him. So I don't know. Yeah, we're more likely going to see a street free agent here.
Right. We've probably talked about this, Lucas, but remind me, who's your favorite street free agent out there?
I mean, I like Yannick. I do. I mean, he's not very good at all against the run, but I mean, every year in his career he's had over 8 sacks. I mean, he's definitely a pass rush specialist. He's more than whatever that other dude we signed last year was. So
Who the hell was that?
Muhammad.
Muhammad? That guy's terrible.
Yeah, well, he had a career year, but I'm just saying Yannick has done it basically every year in his career. He's 28. I mean, I also like Justin Houston, even though he's 34 years old. But would he sign with the Bears? I don't know. And then the big name that other Bears fans keep throwing out there is Carl Lawson, which I don't see the Jets cutting, but I think you could potentially sway them to trade him easier than you could probably sway the Washington Commanders to trade Chase Young. What do you think about that? Like, I don't think they'll outright cut him because I think he is solid, but if they do need to create cap room and you offer them a pick, I could see them potentially swinging for that, but still more unlikely than not.
Well, before I give my opinion on that, why don't we welcome our favorite guest to the show, Mr. Joe Gaither, joining us all the way from Alabama. Joseph.
I'm so sorry, guys.
How are you this evening? Thanks for
totally
joining us.
Yeah. I totally lost track of time here at the house. I have dinner in the oven, and I was just kind of honestly watching this Lakers game and just kind of out of it. So I am so sorry. I looked down at my phone and I see 15 minutes ago, Luke, are you okay, bud? I'm like, oh. So I'm so sorry to all the listeners to interrupt the episode this way. I'm doing very good. I hope you guys didn't wait too long without me. No, I was just being a bum, totally spaced out on our date that we have every single week at the exact same time. So sorry, fellas. I did some extra work today. I did 7 hours on the air yesterday. I did 5 hours on the air today, so I was just a little bit spaced out. I'm excited to jump on with you guys and talk Chicago Bears. I jumped in just at the tail end of a Chase Young question. I fell in love with Chase Young in college, but he's been absolute bum trash territory since he's been in the pros. So I'm like, what's he really going to do? Would change the scenario do well for him? Maybe, but I wouldn't want to pay that much for him. So I don't want to get too much into interrupting your conversation. So go right ahead, Luke, with what you guys were talking about. I'm doing great, and I'm sorry for being late.
So you think I don't think he's been that bad. I just think he hasn't been healthy.
Well, that's probably the best explanation, and that's probably the fairest explanation.
I think when he's played, he's been solid, but his availability has been non-existent. But again,
that's probably the fairest explanation, honestly.
It goes back to our argument of what is the Bears' risk assessment on the guy. But Chris and I were just talking about the other possible trade candidate I think is not really available, but could be, is Carl Lawson from the Jets. I know Bears fans think he will be cut, but right now the Jets are sitting at $7.5 million with cap room. They're going to have to restructure Rodgers because next year his option bonuses are insane. But for a team that's all in, I just can't see them letting go of their best pass rusher, even considering they drafted a very developmental guy this year. So, oh no,
Chris, that? Who's their developmental person?
Will McDonald.
That's not a developmental, isn't he? Wasn't he a first rounder? Like 15th overall?
Yeah, he doesn't. He's like Nolan Smith, in my opinion. He's pretty raw. I mean, he's like a very athletic, bendy prototype player, but he's not polished at all.
Well, I mean, sure.
Plus, I think they just took him because the Steelers took their guy, Broderick Jones, because the Patriots spitefully traded the pick away for nothing.
Well, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Well, this is the last year of Lawson's deal. So, I mean, do they trade him and get something back for him, or do they just play this year out? Honestly, the Jets are all in, so they may just play this year out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're all in, I can't see a team letting go of their best pass rusher right now. That's my big argument. Is like, why would they do it, other than we want him?
I think the only Bears fans that are holding on to that are potentially just not in tune with the cap and still thinking that the Aaron Rodgers trade is drastically affecting the cap, because that was a real possibility a few weeks ago when, before Rodgers was traded. But you did say something about some of the cap guys still think Lawson's going to get cut, right? Right, Luke? Like,
I've seen people say it. I just I can't figure it out myself. But yeah, no, I've seen it mentioned before that he could be a cap casualty because, like I said, I think Rodgers is going to get another restructure. They said before training camp. So, but even then, he's only making $1.2 million this year, so he's counting for nothing on their cap at all.
Yeah, but they're gonna have to shift some of that forward, right? Because it's
and Lawson would save him 15.
Big.
Lawson would save him 15. So
it's like stupid big next. It's like $74 million or something if they don't do anything else, right?
Yeah.
Oof. And like
I don't know.
You spread it out, you're just asking for dead money in the future. I mean, no matter what, the Jets, man, dude, God dang, the Jets are stupid. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
So when you guys are talking about these trades with Chase Young or for Carl Lawson, hypothetical, obviously, we're just throwing them out there. What's the compensation that we're hypothetically talking, and what's the timeline like for this year or like before the trade deadline, whatever that is, week 8 or so, or are we talking? Give me some context other than
we literally touched on that right before you hopped on, but we said the risk reward with Chase Young is paying a premium for him now. Well, I guess there's a risk
options coming up.
There's a risk reward for both sides. Washington risks him going somewhere else and being a stud, and then they lose out on their pass rusher. And then the Bears lose out, or a team trading for him could potentially give up way too much, and he stinks or gets hurt. So Joe's in his own land right now. We're just
now we're talking to each other. And we already had this conversation, so we're gonna move on. The Bears may or may not make a move for a defensive end. Most likely, I'm with you, Lucas, that they signed somebody. I also like Yannick. I also like Justin Houston. That was a good person to bring up.
I'm not a big Clowney guy.
I loved the hit. I mean, obviously, he was fantastic coming out. That he looked like he was going to be a beast, and he wrecked us at times during that game 2 years ago. But Myles Garrett was way more dominant. So I don't know.
Like, he just doesn't give you that much of a pass rush. Like he's a great run stopper, and I don't think he really fits what the Bears are trying to do. I mean,
well, think about it. Like you said last week, or maybe I don't know when you said this, but Eberflus has never really had an uber talented pass rusher type person. So maybe Clowney does fit what he's trying to do.
I just mean from an attitude perspective. He's had some issues with coaches in the past. And I don't know. I think Yannick is definitely the guy for the Bears, in my humble opinion.
I agree. I just wonder what the holdup is. Like, why not do it now?
I'm guessing he wants one last decent deal because he's been getting 1-year deals the past few years. And like I said, he's 28. He probably wants a 3 or 4 year deal, security with the team, instead of a 1 year.
We are way past that phase of free agency.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Mr. Ngakoue, if you're listening,
the whole edge class. I mean, was there any edge player signed, like top edge player signed in the first wave of free agency? I feel like we've been talking about Yannick since like before the.
Who's the guy we signed? That guy,
DeMarcus Walker.
Yeah, he's a top edge guy, right?
I mean, he got $7 million a year for like 3 years.
Hey, that's something. $21 million. I like that.
Oh, and our boy Flo's out there too.
Right. That's our boy George is in love with Flo, wants to bring him home. I don't think he fits, man. He's not a defensive end. You're too skinny.
Yeah, he's an interest. Yannick is the guy. Bring Yannick in, please.
Agreed. Cool. Well, Joe, the main topic tonight, since you are retreading all of the conversations, is the schedule release. So,
sweet. That's great.
Joe, have you had a chance to see any of the social media releases for the teams?
I didn't see a single one. I didn't look at a single one. I mean, I saw the big poster that had the what was the theme? God,
it was a beef shop.
They're serving something up.
It was a beef shop,
right?
It was a beef shop, yeah.
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 So I saw that, but no, other than just I looked at our schedule. That's basically where I was at with that. So how did we roll it out? Was it all those beefs, different styles of beefs?
No, I mean it was different players and different pseudo celebrities at a beef shop, and then it was like Charles Tillman was a short order cook, just yelling out orders, and then they would have like the cook tickets would say the actual game. And so
Okay.
like all the division games were done on the same ticket. So like Packers week 1 and week 17, Lions week 11 and 14, and then Minnesota, whatever. So my favorite part of the Bears one was Annie Agar, because she talked so much shit about the Bears.
Yeah.
She even said something apparently the other day during the Luke Combs concert or something like, I had to wait until the off season to see something good at Soldier Field or something like that, which is funny. But they made her a Lions fan, and she came into the shop and asked to have 2 hot dogs with ketchup on them. So they ripped on her for that. So I thought it was pretty fun that number one, she did it, knowing that she's a stupid Packers fan.
And
number
the
two,
Bears
they made fun of her.
The Bears had the wrestler. What's his name? The Bears fan wrestler.
Seth Rollins.
Seth Rollins was like the main. He was like the cashier, and he told her he basically threw out in the street.
That's awesome. Seth Rollins is the fucking man.
I think the Bears did a good job. Finally, they had a very good schedule release, but for the life of me, they didn't do all the games in the initial They didn't have all the games as something portrayed for each of the games. Like they did I think 11 out of the 17 games, and there was 6 games they missed, which I don't know. I don't know why, but then they spilled water on the menu, and you saw the full schedule. But I was just confused. I don't know.
Would you rather them just done it that way than had something?
No, it bothers me. It bothers me, and the games weren't in order either. It bothered me.
Because from a creative standpoint, you'd rather what if they put out this, a terrible skit with those games?
Well, they had a good idea. They could have incorporated the other games. Just from a nitpicking fan perspective, it bothers me. I don't know.
All right.
Do you think it would have gotten too long, Lucas? Because it was already pretty lengthy.
The Jaguars was 15 minutes long.
Well, nobody's seen that one.
Well,
I'm watching a mini movie. It was hard enough watching.
Some of them were pretty interesting. The Jaguars was they were acting like the NFL was scripted, and we're talking about each game, the script for each game.
That's hilarious.
It's pretty funny. Good. My favorite was the Titans, where they were just asking people on Broadway, people at bachelor and bachelorette parties, what the logos were, and the fans had no idea. And
Chester Cheeto.
Yeah, the Jaguars. Some chick said Chester Cheeto, and then when they did the Falcons, the lady said the Red Stallions or something like that, and then the Falcons changed their. The Falcons changed.
Nashville was Bachelorette City.
Yeah, they were specifically targeting bachelorette parties, and then the Falcons changed their handle to the Red Stallions on Twitter.
That was awesome. And, that was iconic.
And multiple people called the Colts the Cowboys twice. Mm-hmm. They said it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, because they play them twice. They had the Jaguars. They played twice as well. So I thought it was a dude that said Chester Cheeto, and then the second time they said something else crazy, which was hilarious. That one was good, and then of course the Chargers is always
good. They did the anime again.
Yeah, and
they got some good shots there with the Bears for sure.
The Build-A-Bear and the Mitch.
Yeah, they had Mitch Bears, and it had a word bubble come out of his mouth that said "I like to," and then we obviously know what he tweeted. He really likes to kiss kitty. So Chargers getting A+ for creativity again. I like what the Jets did too. The Jets had the GeoGuessr guy. I don't know if you've seen him. There's this guy on YouTube. He goes on Google. It's a competition or something. He sees a picture of an area. He'll look at dirt or a road or something. He'll see it for a split second, and then he'll know where he's at in the world, exact location. And the Jets did that for their schedule release, and they showed him half a picture for 0.1 seconds, and he guessed each team.
And he got it right?
Dude, it's look him up on YouTube. He's called GeoGuessr Guy. He like does this for a living. He like memorized the whole Google Earth. Like he'll see like a patch of dirt and I'll be like, that's Zimbabwe. And then like he'll
Who can do that, dude? That's a talent.
It's crazy. I don't know. Yeah.
So
that was cool.
Those are fun. All right. Well, that's all well and good. I love these. I mean, I think it's great. I think the reason people were so pissed off that the NFL like on Tuesday was like, hey, schedule release on Thursday, because like all these media groups basically had 48 hours to come up with this shit. But it's not like they probably weren't working on them. If you're like,
they know the opponents,
not an idiot, and you're a good, digital marketer, a good social media person, you probably had a good, idea anyway. Of course, the Chargers just went back to the well and just reanimate everything, but whatever. Their jokes were so funny.
Yeah.
So let's get into this schedule.
Win. 6.
All right,
win,
Joe.
7. Win. 8. Win. And win again. 17 and bleeping Chris. I don't want to hear anything less.
Well, I do think the so before we get into this, something I thought was hilarious is NFL teams can like actually put in requests to the league for like specific things they like do or don't want on their schedule. And like we all heard that if you're playing an international game, obviously you get to choose one team you want to play at home. The Chiefs chose the Bears, so they didn't get to play in Germany. But the Bears were one of 8 teams who requested. They said, "Do not put us on Thursday night twice." And the NFL put almost every single team who requested not play 2 Thursday night games. They put them on twice. The Roger Goodell is petty as hell.
He said, "Bleep you guys."
That's why you get booed every year, Roger.
But yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. Like there was I think 6 out of the 8 teams or 5 out of the 8 teams or something like that who requested not to play Thursday night twice. Got it. So
well, that's come on, don't request that. You're asking for it.
Well, I don't know if it was a request or like they were just one of the teams that voted against 2 Thursday night games.
I see.
The other wild thing about this year is the TV schedule's just crazy. Like the networks can bid on games. You have games on like 10 different networks.
Dude, they have a playoff game on Peacock now.
What the fuck is That is like, this is as bad as
I'm gonna miss
the
that
MLB
game.
Going on Apple TV. Like it's just bad. It's just a bad idea. They're gonna make everybody download Peacock for no reason.
They're just gonna make more people pirate games.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is.
Download it illegally.
What? I've never heard of that.
No.
You can also pay for YouTube and get DirecTV or not DirecTV, YouTube Sunday ticket, I suppose. I don't even know if that's what they're going to call it. Anyway, so yeah, that's an odd difference this year is the TV scheduling. Not a fan of the Peacock thing. It's going to be challenging to like find games every week. We'll make that part of the show this year is telling you who owns the Bears game. And then they have a couple of possible flex games in the Cleveland game in week 15 and the Green Bay game in week 18 are both TBD.
Yep. They're thinking the Bears going to be hot stuff. Well, Chris, I was talking to you this about before we started the podcast. So Warren Sharp did a write-up about net rest advantages, which is basically the difference between rest of what you will have versus your opponent that week. So say a team plays on Thursday night and then they play the next Sunday, they'll have those extra days of rest. So they'll have like 11 days of net rest. And then if the other team plays Sunday, so they'll have a net of 4 because they'll have 4 days of extra rest as opposed to the extra team. Anyway, the Bears lead the league in net rest this year with 12 days extra net rest, which is the most in NFL history, which is interesting. The last team is the 49ers, who has negative 20 days of net rest on their schedule.
Oh, brutal.
That equates to a 32-day difference of rest between the two teams. So the 49ers are literally going to get the difference of a month's difference
less
of
rest.
than a team like the Bears.
Wow. Wow.
That
Does
is
that
insane.
like that essentially like equates to like playing another game like in there.
Well,
like
they
that's just
did
brutal.
they did the numbers on this last year, and they said the teams who had the most net rest, like crushed their season win totals, and the teams who had the least amount of net rest, the Packers were one of them, were significantly under their win total. So the Packers were, I think, 11.5 last year. They won 8 games. So Warren Sharp has a really good write up about that on his Twitter. People should check it out. But
That's why we're going 17-0.
This year specifically, it seems like the rest is not divvied up fairly at all, and it's gotten worse than it has been in previous years. But to the Bears' advantage, they are one of the least traveled teams in the league, and they are also the most rested team in the league. So good stuff on that front.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, you got your preseason. Are we breaking down the schedule tonight, or are we just talking just other generalities?
We are.
We're breaking it down.
Schedule.
I don't care about the preseason though.
Well,
we are, yeah.
Preseason all in one. Here we're just smacked together. We're playing Titans at home, at Colts, and then Bills at home for the 3 preseason opponents. Obviously, like those opponents don't they work them out and basically leave those amongst the teams to kind of figure
I think we're supposed to do joint practices with the Colts.
Right. So, that'll be fun. 3 Saturdays in a row, 3 Saturdays in August in a row to kind of get us warmed up for the season. And then, of course.
Well, isn't this what we want? Don't we want to play Green Bay week 1?
Yes.
And the NFL is already disrespecting the Bears. The Bears opened up as half a point favorite.
Y'all saw what we did last year on week 1?
That's grown, though, already. It's like a 1.5.
It is a 1.5 now, but even that's a little bit disrespectful. I mean, the Bears are getting 3 for being home, so they're basically saying on a neutral field, Green Bay is favored.
Right.
They ain't better than us.
So Green Bay, Sunday,
that's a prime.
September 10th, 3:25 p.m.
Yeah, that's a prime slot.
13-9, Bears win.
I mean, we don't need to get that far, but
I'm just feeling it because I feel like Green Bay's defense is strong. We'll be working in a new offense. I'm just like talking out loud here. Green Bay working in a brand new quarterback. Our defense, I don't know about strong, but just praying for a good day on a season opening day, a good effort. I think it'll be a low scoring affair. Who knows about point or what it'll actually end up being? But I think it'll be right now, 100 days out, a low scoring affair.
And a dub for the Bears, Joe.
Absolutely.
Real
100%.
talk. Stop none of the 17-0 bullshit like you did last year. Lucas,
you don't get the show, Chris. It's every year.
Yes, I do. No.
17. No.
That's why we had the number 1 pick. It was Joe Gaither's fault, everyone. He is the jinxer. Joe the jinxer. Lucas, dub or L open the season against the
I'm
Packers
going dub,
in
dude.
Chicago?
I'm actually going to be concerned if they don't beat. They should beat Green Bay week 1. Absolutely. Jordan Love's like first game as a starter. You're playing at home. I fully expect them to win this game, and if they don't, then I think it'll be a long year.
So my biggest goal this year is to just not get my hopes up, though. Like even to like 7. Like we had them at like 7 or 8 wins last year,
and I'm sticking with that again this year. 7 or 8 wins
last year. I don't know, man. I'm gonna have some odd losses in here, but I also think that they win game 1 against Green Bay. It's a statement game. I mean, this is the oldest rivalry, obviously. Biggest deal to us Bears fans, but it's the start of Justin Fields versus Jordan Love, and it'll be really interesting to see how this season plays out for the Packers and Jordan Love beyond the Bears. In all our history with them, like if the Packers, if he works out, if he works out and he's another like their 3rd Hall of Fame quarterback in a row, I'll just watch cricket or some shit on Sundays. I don't know because that's just horseshit. And then we're talking about the NFL is scripted. But if he doesn't work out, then like what do the Packers do? If he's bad, like they're in a weird spot because there's no like time for development. You've had the last 4 years to do that, and you have one of the best quarterback classes. From what people are saying coming up next year. do you go on like a tankathon run? So it's going to be super interesting to see how the Packers play out. But since Joe's off fucking around with his stove, week 2 is Chicago at Tampa Bay, Sunday, September 17th. It is a noon game. Tampa's starting Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, the Buccaneers they suck. Bears should definitely win that game as well, I think.
Bears should definitely win that one as well. I have a dub in that column. Week 3, Patrick Mahomes tries to measure up to Justin Fields' greatness in Barrowhead. No, I'm joking. They made that joke somewhere else. Not calling it that. So in Kansas City for the Matt Nagy revenge game against Chicago, as he is the offensive coordinator now in Kansas City, which is, all we all know is just a paper title. Andy calls the shot still. I do not see the Bears winning this game.
No. I could totally see the Bears going 2-0 and Bears fans getting all hype, and then we go to Arrowhead and get our absolute shit kicked out of us.
100%.
Yeah, but what if they play him like as well as they played Philly last year?
That was late in the year.
Different scenario, I think. Playing Mahomes at Arrowhead, I think the Bears might go into that with some big heads. The big thing with Mahomes is like you're always going to have to get into a shootout with him, but like the Bears aren't even going to be able to slow him down. Let's be real.
You mean our pass rush won't affect him?
No pass rusher, right?
No pass rush affects him, but our pass rush especially, he'll be like I don't know. I could just totally see us going 2-0 and then getting obliterated there. So
what do you have for the Bucs game in Tampa?
I heard you. We're gonna win. Exactly like Luke said. They're not good. I feel good about 2-0 right there. But exactly, Luke and I. Luke, you're stealing my notes. I think Kansas City. It's gonna be a long day in Arrowhead.
I don't know. I mean, maybe you're right, Chris. If we played them tough, that'd be cool. But even if we play them tough, I don't see us winning.
Yep. Joe, can I mark you down for another win?
Not at Kansas City. I'm sorry.
Oh,
look, Chris, you didn't get it. Last year we went. I gave you the 17-0, and I came back with what, like
7 or 8 or 7, yeah, it was like between 7 and 9 wins, something like that.
I think
that
it
was like
8 and change, 8 and 9. I think is what it was. Yeah.
So Lucas and I were talking about this before you graced us with your presence, that we didn't do this until like August of last year, like a schedule prediction.
We did it twice, didn't we?
I don't think so. I don't. Whatever. Week 4, the Denver Donkeys go to Chicago. Sean Payton, the coach there now. Russell Wilson looking for a redemption tour as well. Yeah, I don't know what to think of Denver, especially with Sean. Like, I think Sean Payton could definitely make a big difference there, but it's a big TBD. It's in Chicago.
See, this is one of those games, Chris. I feel like you're saying it earlier. It's a weird game. I could see them losing.
Right. Right.
It's a toss-up game, and if the Bears are exceeding expectations this year, they will win this game. But if the Bears are kind of on par with up and down all season, right in the hunt, as we like to see that graphic, that goes across the screen, I think this is a game they lose. We'll see, though. It is a big TBD.
If Russell Wilson is improved, they're losing this game.
Dude, they have a solid team. I mean, they do. Their defense isn't bad. Obviously Russell Wilson.
Their defense only allowed like 16 points per game last year, or something like that.
I mean, the Bears being at home is obviously a big help. It's tough. I don't know, especially traveling back that week. I'm saying L
for me as well.
Joe, you think they win?
Yeah, I don't think the Broncos. I think they'll find a way to lose.
Well, see, I think that the Bears would find a way to lose. I don't know. It's just we'll see.
All right, so I'm at 3-1 right now.
And we're this is what I'm looking for out of this year is, we probably I don't know how many games we lost by less than a possession. Joe, I
A
think you
lot.
had that like last week, like 7. Like I'm looking for those, at least half of those games to go the other way. And I'm looking for like the 2-minute drill to be different. So like
Yes.
if we get down to 2 minutes within a possession, like Justin's got to march him down the field. We've made investments in the weapons. We made some investments in the defense that they're probably not going to, keep us in games, like especially like against like a Mahomes type or, a high scoring team. But a team like Denver, where it could potentially be a close game down the stretch, we have to win those games this year. That's the growth I'm looking for from like the coaching staff and whatnot.
And Chris, so just to put you back on that on the 2-minute drill, I'm ready. I'm done with this Bears shit where we're in a 2-minute drill. We're gonna settle for a 48-yard fucking field goal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, give me a quarterback who's going to. I don't. Okay, it's cool if we're not getting 7 on a drive. Get me into this is gonna be a 35-yard field goal, a real field goal that's like okay.
Give yourself a chance to score a touchdown.
Yes.
So, Chris, you going W or L there for the Broncos?
Oh, big L. Yeah, that's a not a big L, but yeah, like I said, there's going to be some weird losses, and they got to come from somewhere, or I'll end up being a homer and saying 17-0. Like
honestly, like I could also, I'm putting it down as a win now, but I could see them maybe losing to the Buccaneers and then beating the Broncos or something like that. But I'll say 2-2 over the first 4 games. I think is fair.
Yep. Week 5 in Washington, Sam Howell leading the Manders against your Chicago Bears.
The theme of that night is going to be Howl at the Mooney.
So we owe the Manders a big fat ass whooping from the Thursday night game last year. And Justin
Thursday night twice.
I don't know I don't know.
Chase Young revenge game.
The new owners, the new owners in Washington want the Bears to come on a Thursday night. I got this as a dub, Lucas.
Dub. The Commanders are horrible. They might be the worst team in football next year.
I'm with you.
Actually, maybe not. Their defense is good, but the Bears should definitely win.
And like Sam Howell could surprise some people. So like
the Bears should win though. The Bears should win.
Yeah, I agree.
We beat their ass last year, and we were not a good team. We got into the red zone like 5 times and came away with like 8 points.
Yeah, and they only hit one pass like the entire game. It was like that pass down the middle to like the tight end or some shit. It was just like unreal that they scored at all. That was such a bootsy game.
Was that the last game that Wentz played? Did we end Wentz's career?
I don't know.
I don't think he career. I think he'll play again, but
he's a free agent apparently.
Well, I mean, and you look. I'm just saying, you look at where each franchise has gone. 9 months each after that. Sure, if they've taken a step up, fine. But we've definitely taken a big step up. So if we'd executed better last year, that game would not have been close.
100%. So you got a dub as well, Joe?
Oh, yeah.
Week 6. Go ahead.
I was going to say that might be a little bit of a statement game, like if the Bears went out there and just absolutely kicked the shit out of them. That's what we would want to hope. Again, when we're talking about growth, that's the game. That's the game you want to see them go out. Like if they drop a close one to Denver, like go out there and beat the crap out of Washington.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's a 7-15 game. I mean, the Bears are kind of featured this year for the NFL.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, if you figure afternoon games are big time because there's only, 4 to 6 of them as opposed to like a shit ton in the morning. Those are big games. So week 5 at Washington is a Thursday night game. So prime time. Week 6, Sunday, October 15th, noon game at home. Kirk Cousins comes to town. Or maybe it's going to be Hendon Hooker by that point. I don't know, man.
No, Hooker's on the Lions.
Whatever. I shot in the dark. I can't remember. I know both of those fools take random third-round quarterbacks like Kellen Mond.
That's what they got.
Who everybody thought was going to be better than Justin Fields, right? I can't remember.
That was Chris Sims. Yeah, that was Chris Sims.
Jackass.
All right, so at home, the Bears get extra rest, but it is noontime, Kirk. They add Jordan Addison. The defense is going to be bad. That game should be high scoring.
That was a game that last year that Minnesota barely pulled out in Minnesota.
Right.
I think this is a very winnable game, especially coming off a mini bye. They showed last year that they know how to prepare and come out ready on these extended breaks. They won obviously coming out of their first like mini bye last year, and then played really well coming out of their bye last year, even though they lost. It would have been. Yeah, it was the Philly game. So they played really well against the Eagles coming out of their bye late in the season last year.
And that Patriots game was the week after they kind of shit the bed versus Washington. They changed their whole offense around in 10 days. So
I go dub.
Yeah, I'm on the fence here, but I'm going to say dub as well. I think you swayed me there with the how good they are coming out on longer weeks. Joe, what are you thinking?
Chris, you're making a compelling case, but I just feel like I have to put an L on the schedule right here, just because on my schedule, at least, because if I don't, we'll be sitting at like 5-1 all the way through. So, the Vikings are going to give us a hard game anyways, and I do think it's going to be high scoring. I think you nail it on that, Luke. Our guys will be prepared. I think Jordan Addison is a good draft pick for the Vikings, but we'll just end up seeing what will happen. This might end up looking like one of those weird losses like you're talking about, Chris.
So we are all at 4-2 right now, it looks like.
For everybody. Yep. And then the gambling Raiders with Jimmy G at the helm come to the land of Chicago for the Week 7 matchup, which is another noon game on the 22nd of October. I think the Raiders are trash, but
I agree. Okay. Again, without just going, I know it's obviously we're choosing wins and losses. I would choose a split between the Vikings and Raiders.
Yep.
So since I went dub with the Vikings, I might have to go L here. I think they'll go 1-1 in my opinion.
And it'll piss me off because I think both games we're going to walk away with feeling like we should have won.
Yep.
But I agree with you, Luke. For me, I'm going to go the other way, like a Raiders win right here, just because I took the Vikings loss. I think it's going to be a 1-1 split, and it's going to make me very mad.
Yeah, I'm going to still say a win only because I think we're going to have a stretch of shit right here coming up. So, Lucas, you got an L. Joe, you got a dub?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Moving right along, we have the Bears traveling to the anime land of Los Angeles. Sunday nighter against the Chargers and Justin Herbert. It'll be the Justin show at QB.
Don't like that.
They are not getting out of LA with a win, in my opinion. This will be an L for me.
It might be a home game for him, but I'm taking an L as well. The Chargers are just too good.
Me too. Out of the three of us, that sucks. And all my friends are gonna make fun of us on Sunday night. But it is what it is.
Hey, if the Bears are as good as we think they are at this point, with only 2 losses going into this game, then I'll take it. If this is the one game they get they get trashed in or whatever.
I agree.
Yeah. And Kansas City. Then Week 9 at Funtown, New Orleans, NOLA, noon, November 5th game. New quarterback Derek Carr for the Aints. This is my weird L. I think they're going to lose this one.
I'm torn here. Derek Carr, I feel like, is not as bad as everyone says he is. The Saints' defense is pretty good too, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and they play well at home.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a tough game for the Bears, especially if they're coming from California.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking an L here. That's 3 in a row for me, but
Olave. And are they? Is old boy ever going to run slant routes again? Michael Thomas, is he ever?
Slant boy? I don't know about him.
Hey man, he was an absolute dynasty treasure for me. Like I
had
loved
him
having
too.
him. Yeah.
Yep. Joe, what did you
Joseph?
take?
Loss again. That's a painful one, probably.
Yeah. So then we get to the game that every Bears fan is excited for at home, Thursday nighter against the Bryce Young led Panthers. We better win this game only because I think Chicago will fall apart if we don't. And it's going to be interesting. Like if we lose this game, Panthers Twitter will not shut up because there's a certain, area of Bears Twitter who has like basically said the Charger or that the Panthers are going to be garbage and give us like a top 5 pick. I don't see it that way. I think the Panthers will be middle of the pack. We'll probably get anywhere between 10 and 15 from them, in my opinion, unless Bryce is just terrible or gets hurt or something bad happens. So I have a dub for this one. Lucas, you also have a dub. Joe as well?
Yes, sir. Sorry, Brian.
Hey. Week 11, first one in Detroit at Detroit, Sunday, November 19th, a noon game.
See, all right. Why couldn't they give us a Sunday Night Football versus the Lions would be so much fun. I would much rather do that than play the Chargers.
Because we make the Chargers interesting. We're making that matchup.
I have no idea who doesn't think the Chargers are interesting. I feel like that is a casual football fan.
No, from a media standpoint, wouldn't you rather have Chicago? I mean, they have LA, which is the number 2 media market in the country, but like, do they really have LA?
I'm just, we always get Vikings, Bears, or Packers, Bears every year. They always get like one prime. Like, give us the Lions. The Lions are at least decent this year. They're the favorite to win the.
We had them on
Thanksgiving.
This would be fun. We had them on Thanksgiving.
I'm talking prime time, Chris, when the moon is out.
Darnell Moon is always out.
I'm saying loss here.
Yeah,
I think Detroit's overrated, but I'm giving them an L.
I mean, I think we'll probably potentially split with Detroit, so that means this one's an L.
Joe,
I'll say a win right here. That'll surprise some people. We'll get 2.
Oh shit! I already got you at an L, Joe. Sorry. Bears, Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota, Monday nighter. So a little bit of a longer rest, like you said, Lucas. November 27th, 7:15 Monday night. Obviously, like I just said, in Minnesota. Joe, what do you got?
I'm feeling like a loss. I'm just the way the schedule's going. I'm feeling kind of wishy-washy. I think we're going to lose at Minnesota.
Mr. Barry?
I'm saying a loss.
I have the loss as well. The next one we all win because it's a bye.
Woohoo!
And some even more rest. And then Detroit comes to Chicago in week 14. Like I have said, Bears play good coming out of a bye. It's at home. They will have just lost to the Lions 3 weeks before, so it'll be fresh in their mind. I have them as the dub as well. Mr.
Win. Victory.
Has them as win as well.
This is about to be a 5-game stretch right here as I look ahead. We're going to rattle them all off and surprise some people.
Chicago then travels to the land of cleavage, where Deshaun Watson is getting massages and
we're going to be playing Jacoby Brissett by that time.
Getting millions of dollars. He doesn't play there.
He's in Washington.
Yeah, he's in Washington.
Who's the Cleveland backup? Whoever that is, that's who's going to be playing by then.
So this is a flex game. It is TBD. We do not know when it is. I think this is like when Saturday games start to come into play. I could be wrong, but I think so.
Is there not a date on it, or is it just TBD?
No,
nothing. TBD on both.
So it could be a Monday night. It could be a Saturday night.
I don't think it'll be a Monday night.
Oh, so it could be Saturday night or Sunday or Sunday night or interesting.
This is the week like right before college football bowl week.
This is another weird one. I think they're going to lose because Yeah, just because that's
All right, so I'm gonna say this could be like the point in the season where the Bears make or break their playoff chances.
Yes.
Like it could be a must win for them or whatever. I don't know, Chris. I think I'm going to agree with you. I'm gonna give them a loss there.
Nah, we're not losing to the fucking Browns.
dub for Joe. All right, so currently through 15 weeks, Lucas has us at
6 wins.
1, 2. I have 5. 6. You're right, Detroit. I missed that one.
You have 7 and Joe has 9.
I have 7 wins already. God, I thought I was giving him more L than I thought. We're gonna have to lose some more weird games. All right. Arizona in Chicago.
Easy win.
This better be a dub. Yeah. So
Falcons at home too. Right after that, win again.
Ryan Pace revenge game. This is the weird L.
No, I would shoot myself if we lose to the Falcons.
No, that would be bad. If they like Desmond Ridder would have to be the truth, and that would suck. But man, I can't imagine they're gonna win like 8 or 9 games. Like the
schedule is like, look at it. It's the hardest games. You got the Lions twice, just out of your division, and then anything after Packers, of course. Like your hardest games are your 6 division games, and then you throw in the Chargers in there. Outside of that, the schedule's really not that like
Kansas City.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, you're right. You're right. Kansas City's your hardest game. Yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to disrespect the Kings. You're right.
All right, Lucas, you have a dub against the Falcons as well.
Yep. And then we're heading into week 17, right? Or 18.
Yep.
All right. So I have 8 wins for the Bears. Chris has 9. Joe has 11. Going into week 18, that would mean probably the Bears make the playoffs in both of your scenarios, probably in mine too. This could make or break the Bears season, and I will have the Packers winning the last week of the year on prime time, maybe to send the Bears packing.
This is another TBD game for everybody at home. So it probably will get – well, like, it depends. I mean, it really depends on where – yeah, if the Bears are – like, if this is a playoff or division clinching game –
Sunday Night Football.
It's Sunday Night Football. But if Jordan Love is terrible and the Packers are, 5 and whatever, then they don't care. They won't flex this game.
And if we've got things wrapped up, we're in the playoffs. I totally can see a scenario where our guys are resting, and yes, we lose, and it sucks to lose to the Packers, but the bigger picture here, and we're got bigger plans, and it's not getting moved to anything deeper than a Sunday afternoon just for the sake of it being Bears Packers.
Well, I would say in your scenario, Joe, that could be the case where they already have something locked up. In Chris's and I scenario where they have 8 or 9 wins, they could be playing for something more significant this week.
Yeah, and in that case, you're damn right. They're putting it on prime time.
Chris, what are you going here in the last week of the year?
Man, if it plays out like this, that
would suck if they lost this game if it played out like your schedule.
I would rather almost lose the opener.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And go into Green Bay and kick them in the shins, but I think they lose this game.
All right. Me too.
I got a loss too.
All right. So 8, 9, and 11 wins. I mean, that's fair. It's all over the Vegas total of 7.5.
Well, and it kind of goes without. I mean, even when you consider our personalities, yes, I've got the glasses on thick when I'm looking at it, and not saying you're not fans, but like you guys aren't unbalanced, and so you look at 8 or 9 wins, the schedule's not that crazy, and so you can be competing. Like you guys, I think are rather conservative fans. I think we can be expecting to compete for a wild card position. As we stand here in May, and that's absolutely wild for me to say, considering where we were 12 months ago.
Yeah, I think, honestly, Joe, I think you're kind of pretty spot on with that. I mean, I would say I'm more of a conservative fan, but I think the range of outcomes is anywhere from 7 to 11 wins. So if everything went right, which I would assume your scenario is kind of everything going
Oh, yeah.
perfectly
Oh,
for
yeah.
them, health wise. Everything, fields development.
Yeah, Justin's there every game. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of the range of outcomes. But I'm more on Chris's side, where I do think there'll be a few weird losses where you're like, damn, we should have had that one like we had this year. A few games that are really frustrating. I think the big issue with this year is those games kind of spiraled out of control a little bit. There was a few weeks in a row where it was just non-competitive football, or damn, we should have had that one too many times. So
Yeah.
get rid of that this year. Bounce back on games that you lose and keep fighting.
So I'll make a statement on what we're talking about with weird losses, or we should have had that one losses. I don't want that to be a thing anymore. I'm so sick of that shit. Like if we lose,
you'll always have it mixed in.
It's a hard foggy. Yeah, I know, but like there was so many.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Last year was a lot. It happened way too much.
Well, last year was last year. I mean, that was number one pick type shit. But like I'm talking like the London game against the Raiders. This is freaking stupid, ugly losses. So I want that to stop now.
Yeah, well, I mean, we talked about it. Stretches of the schedule, like you have to kind of win at least one of the Tampa Bay and Denver game. You have to win one of the Saints and Raiders game. Like you should be able to win at one of each of those sets of games. But last year, those were times when we would lose all four, or used to lose all four. Like we cannot let that happen this year. Where these stretches of games, you're playing multiple winnable games. You got to take at least one of two out of every few of them, and you got to take care of business in your division. That's the name of the game. So if the Bears could split all their division games, go how many games they play? 6, 3, and 6?
I had them at 3-3.
Sorry, 3-3.
So I got them at losing to the Vikings twice, and this is just hypothetical. Vikings twice, and then splitting with Green Bay and beating the Lions twice. What's that put us at? I mean, that makes us right there in the thick of things, and it depends on what the Lions, Vikings, and Packers do with the rest of their schedule.
Yep, you got to take care of those games for sure.
So last year they had like every other game was at home and away, and this year they don't have any stretch where it's any more than 2 in a row either place. I thought they were on a 5-game stretch at one point, but they aren't. So, I listen. Hopefully, it's a much better season. And
I like the schedule.
I like the schedule. Like, I mean, there's a lot of fun cities to go to, like Tampa, KC,
which one
LA,
are you going to?
NOLA.
Are you taking us all to LA, Papa?
Dude,
for Sunday Night Football?
Like I told Lucas, man, went from top performer to freaking missing quota. So vacations are looking slim this year. Might be golfing and that's it. We're also supposed to go to San Diego, so maybe I'll try to like talk the wife into going to San Diego like around Halloween and dip up there for that Chargers game.
Well, basically it'll be a home game. That'd probably be a 6 stadium to see.
Yeah, so far. I feel like we should like my brother-in-law works with SoFi. I feel like I should be able to get like free tickets, but probably not.
I feel like Chargers tickets are not expensive, but it's in LA, so who knows?
Yeah, but like it's in LA, so like Dodgers fans show up in like the 3rd inning and leave in the 7th. So I mean, they don't care. It's not a big sports town, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Second biggest market, but the like worst actual like they've lost more football teams than
and they won Super Bowls. They have more lost football teams than won Super Bowls.
Probably. So the Rams have won one. I don't know where the hell the Raiders were when they won theirs. Where it was Oakland or LA or where the hell they resided. Raiders have been in 3 cities now. So yeah, probably though. They've lost the Rams, got them back. Got the Chargers. Lost the Raiders.
The Chargers never won a Super Bowl, right?
No.
Right.
Nope.
All right, well, that's
I
all
don't
I
even know
got
if
for
they've
today.
been. I feel like no, they've been because they went against the Steelers, right, in the 90s.
I have no idea.
I think so. That's all I got.
I think you're right.
Joe,
All right. Oh, dude. 11,
what else you got?
11-7, 11-6. Let's do this, Bears. Come on. It can be a great year for us. Come on, Justin Fields. Lead us, my man. Lead us, Mr. Vegan Man. You can do it. Take us to the promised land, back into the playoffs. Come on, Justin Fields. Bear down, Chicago Bears. Make every play clear the way to victory. Bear down, Chicago Bears. Put up a fight with the might so fearlessly. We'll never forget the way you thrilled the nation with your T formation. Bear down, Chicago Bears, and let them know why you're wearing the crown. You're the pride and joy of Illinois, Chicago Bears.